It's pretty easy to tell when you've crossed the line between the city of Nanaimo and the Snuneymuxw First Nation Reserve.
The Snuneymuxw First Nation, we have 40 acres on this reserve that I grew up on. That's split in half by this railway that has a mill right here on the north end, a cement factory on the north end. It's got a recycling facility beside it. It's got another mill on the south end. All of these log booms in front of it. You know, we've been the dumping ground for a long time.
But it wasn't supposed to be that way, and it didn't start out that way. In 1854, Sir James Douglas, colonial governor of Vancouver Island, signed a treaty with the Snuneymuxw First people. The treaty's goal was to give the British colony access to the coal, working in respect and recognition with the Indigenous people.
Was that accomplished? Well, they certainly got access to coal deposits, but the original intent of the treaty was never lived up to.
That treaty was signed on December 23, 1854, and now, 155 years later, the Snuneymuxw First Nation, like many others across the country, are living in poverty.
Well, you know, there's a lot of reasons to be angry when, you know, as a person growing up, knowing the lack of opportunity here in this community. As the chief today, having to contend with families in desperate need of opportunities and help for lack of our ability to provide them the economic opportunities that we should be able to. And knowing that the situation we're in is because of all of these horrible decisions that were made in the past. And knowing that today there's plenty of opportunity for Snuneymuxw to be involved in the regional economy.
But the chief says the Snuneymuxw First Nation is not coming from a place of anger. He says there has been progress in some areas, like the Supreme Court recognizing that the treaty even exists. Yet for some reason, the Snuneymuxw people still suffer. And the hardest question to answer, it seems, is why.
I don't know what the foundation of that is, but I do know that you know, this country has the opportunity to be one of the great countries on the face of the earth, and it never will be until it really addresses this issue of its relationship with Aboriginal peoples. It's such a remarkable thing for me, for, you know, our relations out in Ontario and on Hudson's Bay at Attawapiskat, and the fact that Canadians are shocked by the poverty that Aboriginal peoples live in, I think, is more surprising to me than the grinding poverty that exists.
The Snuneymuxw Reserve is about 16 hectares, that's 40 acres. It's one of the smallest reserves in the province, with one of the highest populations. About 600 people live here.
The house is a problem. We lose a lot of our children off reserve.
Open your window and your neighbor's going to the washroom and next door, you know. And years ago, it wasn't like that.
Have our own gym for our youth, because there's like not a lot of places for youth to go. So
we have funding for housing, but there's no place to build houses. So we have a lot of people that live off reserve that really want to be on reserve.
It's all about trying to, you know, we've got a serious responsibility to look after and create a better future for our children.
Elected in 2009 for a 4-year term, Chief Douglas White III is a second-generation chief. He is a practicing lawyer and spends countless hours on numerous boards and councils advocating for Aboriginal rights. He grew up here on this reserve. In Nanaimo for Shaw TV, I'm Kate Bergen.